Hi, I'm Jonathan Shine, Practice Leader, National Real Estate Investor Magazine, NREIOnline.com, and the Penton Sustainability Initiative. And we're at the ICSC 2013 Retail Green Conference in Phoenix, Arizona. And we have the pleasure to be speaking with Patrick Leonard, who is the Manager for Portfolio Services Practices at Palladino, who was instrumental in developing the Property Efficiency Scorecard for the ICSC. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the scorecard, how it was developed, what went into the process in making it happen, and what we ultimately hope to accomplish with it?
Sure. The scorecard is an industry-led initiative. A number of ICSC members, approximately 30 leading developers, got together and formed a committee. And the committee wrote specifications for the scorecard, which really dictates how they saw retail benchmarking for sustainability would work. The specifications were put out to bid and Palladino was awarded the project, and we've been working for about 18 months with ICSC and with the committee to take from the specifications the efficiency scorecard to fruition.
And I understand that coming up with benchmarking is a little difficult for the retail and shopping center industry. Can you explain what process you use to make that happen, or actually get through the process?
Yeah, absolutely. So every center is different. And one of the key differentiators is how the landlord and tenants are metered for things like energy and water. And so by understanding who's responsible or who manages the impact from which meter, we've been able to begin establishing benchmarks for the sector. The end game with the scorecard as an initiative is that members will be able to understand how they compare against their peers and how they compare center to center within their own portfolio, so that they understand where is the opportunity to improve. The metering scenario is important there as well, because you can't get an apples to apples comparison if you're comparing an enclosed mall to another enclosed mall, but one pays all the energy cost and another only pays for the common area. So that's where the devil's been in the detail.
And of course, regional differences as well, climatic differences as well.
Absolutely. We have US-based developers, Canadian, Australian, and we've had feedback from Mexico and Europe. So this is truly an international initiative, and the regional and jurisdictional differences that drive people to focus on sustainability have been a big part in developing the tool.
So how are you getting the input? How are you getting the data? How is that being accomplished?
We've had a pilot program operating for about 9 months now with the scorecard committee, who are all members. They submitted data on 10 shopping centers to Palladino to be analyzed. And so we've been kind of a clearinghouse for their sustainability data. And then we've presented back aggregate information to them to say, here's what the industry looks like. Over time, obviously that data set will grow phenomenally. We have a commitment from members for about 800 centers, and we're still a day away from launch, so that's fantastic. I would expect, in the first quarter of next year, we'll be into the thousands. So at that point, we'll be able to do statistical analysis and really understand with what confidence can we say this is a good benchmark for the impact areas at the scorecard.
And you're talking about thousands of properties, not thousands of owners.
Thousands of centers, correct? Yes.
Now, who actually does the inputting within these companies?
Great question. Depends on the company. So some of the larger real estate investment trusts are structured such that a single entity might be responsible for energy. So they receive the bills from a bill pay provider, and we have a feature in the scorecard where they can upload data in bulk, so that it's a relatively painless process, and it's customized either to their organization or the bill pay provider they work with.
Okay.
All the way through to the other end of the spectrum. If you're a smaller entity, you can't dedicate staff to tracking a particular resource, then your property manager would also be able to log in and fill out the information that the scorecard tracks. So that's been one of the challenges we've worked through. How do you balance the specification between that different user group?
So that's really a company-wide type of initiative, and whether they get the buy-in and how much data you're going to ultimately upload.
Right. Focusing on asking just the questions we needed to has been a key part of developing the tool, because obviously there isn't a lot of data out there about the retail landlord sustainability landscape. So to try and get the data, the first reaction of others that have tried to solve this issue was to ask every question possible and then do analysis. The members have taken a different approach here, which is let's gather data that's relatively available in industry and make progress. And so that's what the scorecard will ultimately help them do in the short term.
And where do you see this going a year from now when we're back here at Retail Green? Where do you see the next evolution of this property efficiency scorecard?
I would hope that at Retail Green 2014, we're really talking about lessons learned in the first year. We'll have several thousand properties being tracked. We'll have upwards of 20 developers tracking data, multiple continents, and as I said, with the statistical analysis that you can do on a large data set, we'll be starting to provide that meaningful feedback to members. The feedback's important because once they understand how their buildings within the portfolio perform or how they line up against an ICSE benchmark, the next question that we always hear is, so how do I get better? So I think that's the future. That's where the conversation will be in a year.
Well, we look forward to seeing you next year. Patrick Leonard with Palladino, developer of the Property Efficiency Scorecard. Congratulations.
Thank you.
See you next year.
Thanks, John.